It is not even July, and we're already talking about football. But let's be honest, none of us really stopped thinking, planning, wishing for football. Even during last season, we were thinking to the next season because that's how much we love football here at Auburn, in the SEC, and just as college football fans. Now, Auburn University has already started the process of prepping you here at the very end of June for this upcoming football season, especially when it comes to tickets and things to keep in mind for your experience when we finally actually get to playing some football on Auburn University's campus. So let's talk about that here today on Ever to Podcast, which is our video and audio series where we discuss the things that are prevalent to the Auburn family right now at this moment. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't, but also to the podcast if you haven't checked that out, or if you're listening there as an alternative. We encourage you to be a part of both because there's content that comes to each different avenue. The best way to get all of the Auburn experience from the place that covers the whole of the Auburn experience is to follow both of those. So we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this topic as we talk about it as well. Let's talk about tickets, right? Listen, times are tough. They are. I sit here acting like times are tough, and let's be honest, there have been much tougher times in our world and nation's history. But let's be honest, it's kind of a little bit pricey right now to spend some money on tickets. At least for me, it is. I don't know about you guys. I always have been a bit of a frugal person, and one of the things that gets me a little bit less frugal most of the time is Auburn sports, to some degree. I have a tendency to be a little bit stingy, have alligator arms, so to speak, when it comes to spending money. But when it comes to football tickets, you can find me spending some money for the most part. And this is the challenge that I find for myself each and every year when it comes to this point. Auburn University puts out a statement after they have already done their season tickets through the TUF program, Tigers Unlimited program, of the general public being able to purchase season tickets, being able to purchase individual tickets or ticket packages. This comes around every single year, and I find myself sitting on my little calculator trying to figure out exactly what's the breakdown per price per game. And, I'll be honest with you, looking at some of these things that they announce the prices, I don't think it's that bad, and I don't know that it's ever been really that bad for these type of tickets. But just keep in mind, this isn't the initial release of Auburn football's ticket policies and ticket availability, because the scholarship program, the traditional season tickets that a lot of people have, that's already been going on. This is just for us, the peons. So those that don't have the traditional season tickets, you now can do that as well if you like to, for a pretty penny. Now, as I said, I think that this season for Auburn is going to be a good one. You won't see, obviously, Georgia and Alabama. Why that is still a thing, why they are still in any, modern era or not, where they're both seemingly to be good. That makes no sense for them both to be home and both be away one season. It just splits your time. Look, they tried to do the whole scheduling thing where Georgia's in the middle of the season now. I mean, it's fine. I'm not opposed to that. They still should be opposite, because there are two biggest games of the year, regardless of what's going on with Auburn, with Georgia, or with Alabama. There are two biggest rivals. I will stop ranting on that at some point. It just bothers the heck out of me, and I know it bothers a lot of you. But even with that, let's talk about what you have to look forward to and what may be a value for you with these ticket prices. So you've got a 5-game home stretch, which means you're going to be pretty hot to start off the season. Y'all remember that heat wave that we had? I think it was like 2019, the year before everything just went kaput into 2020. I just remember just being scorching up until November. So just expect it to be pretty warm, especially if you're going to buy some of these tickets. They're going to be in the upper deck. Experienced that a couple times myself. Try to be on the opposite one where you can have your back to the sun. Trust me, it'll save your life. So, with that in mind, the games that you had to look forward to in that are Mercer, San Jose State, Penn State, Missouri, LSU. That's that whole big, you want to talk about kicking off a season. That's well worth the price of admission just to be there, experience the majority of those games. Look, I know San Jose State is probably going to be the game where everybody kind of checks out and says, I can't do this one. I may not even be on campus for that one like I normally am. I say that I'm not going to be on campus, and then I start thinking about, I was like, but I'm going to be missing out on so much. But there's other reasons for me to potentially miss that weekend. Regardless, every other home weekend, I have plans to be there on campus, and I hope you do as well, and I hope you'll be purchasing tickets for the program. Do I sound like I'm pitching for the university or something? You'd think they would maybe compensate me a little bit. Anyway, that's not why we're here. I want to continue the conversation about what you're getting out of this. You know, obviously, we talked about that 5-game homestand. I've got the schedule here in front of me right now to look at. You've also got Arkansas and Texas A&M followed up with a end-of-the-year matchup at Western Kentucky, the last time that you'll be there, which will be, obviously, as they usually do, a senior day. So even without a Georgia, even without an Alabama, you have got a season that is chock full of SEC talent, of good matchups non-conference wise, that I think that you're going to find of good value to take up, you know, your ticket price a little bit if it's going to be there. Now, as you find out a lot of the times during the season as it gets going, prices go up or down depending upon how the Tigers are doing. And it depends on how you talk about it, how you think about it, who you talk to about it, on how the Tigers are going to do. The prognosticators say that they're going to be at the bottom half of the SEC West. I could understand why you would think that. I also think they continue to forget that when Auburn's underestimated, they overachieve time and time again. So my advice would be to you that if you've got a game, if you say that I want to be at the Arkansas game, it's the first, you know, truly fall game at the end of October, I want to be there for that one. Purchase that single game ticket as soon as it's available. And the single game tickets, if my understanding is correctly of this release, are not open just yet, but that will come available in July. Because that's how they usually do this. They want to encourage you to do season tickets, right? Whether it's through the Tough program, doing this new release now of just traditional up, you know, in the rafters, upper deck seats, and then they'll do the packages and then the single game tickets as they come available, or if they're available at all. Who knows? There may just be an extreme amount of interest to be at Auburn football this year, and I think there should be, because there's going to be a lot of interesting things happen with a year of almost a reset with Coach Harsin and kind of doing things the way that he wants to do them with his people and his system and things like that. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the information that they released here. So if you want to have all the games right now, that means every single one of them, including Penn State, LSU, Texas A&M, and let's be honest, of the non-conference, well, and the conference stretch, those are going to be the marquee games at home that you're looking for. Penn State is going to have a lot of intrigue around it, especially with the matchup that happened last year and trying to return the favor here in Auburn. It's a 2:30 kickoff. It's going to be hot. They're probably going to pass out. We're not, but it's still going to be fun, even if it's disappointing that it's not going to be at night. LSU, need I say more? Texas A&M, they look poised to take a next step in the SEC and the SEC West, so that'll be an intriguing matchup as well. For those games to be included in there, $4.95, and you've got all of the games there. That is your season ticket price. I'm trying to remember now. I did the math earlier. I think it was like 50 to 60 something per ticket if you did it that way. I could be wrong. I could be thinking about the other figure. But I remember looking at both of those averages and being like, it's not that bad. Just remember that you're in the upper deck for 5 straight games. Probably on the side that's facing the sun. Just saying, I've done it. It was fun to be at a football game, but boy, you pay for it until that sun starts dipping finally behind that other upper deck. When it does, you get some great views of the Auburn sunset. You just pay for it while it gets there, literally and financially, but your skin and sweat and all that good stuff. So those games to be included, all of that is going to be $4.95. Now, they're going to be releasing a 7-game Eagles Nest package as well. And this, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but when you're watching this went live. So if you're watching this the day of the release of this video or of the release of this podcast, what are you doing? Like right now, if you're wanting these tickets, go right now and do these things because it's live as of this moment. You've got $3.80 for all the games except for Penn State. Auburn knows that's the big seller this year. Without Georgia, without Alabama, Penn State is the thing that a lot of people are looking forward to, even though it's going to be a midday, sweltering hot kickoff game. So that is why, that's really what's moving up your price on that bigger package of $4.95 for all the games, is that Penn State game alone, because that excludes that. So that one is $380. And as I said, as you're watching this or listening to this, it is available now for you to purchase. Save the date, July 6th, 9 a.m. It's a Wednesday, is when public season ticket for the Eagles Nest packages have already been on. That's what we were just talking about. But they will have mini plan tickets. Most of these are going to be your Mercers, San Jose State, Western Kentucky's, and I think usually it's usually a 4-game package with one SEC game. You're probably not looking at Homecoming. You're probably looking at Arkansas, which is not bad. Arkansas is probably going to be a decent matchup. I don't know how their team's going to be this year, but that's usually what those packages are going to look like if you're interested in one of them. And actually, I'm reading here now. It'd be a select. It says the Auburn family will be able to select a customized set of 3 games, excluding Penn State. So one less than I actually thought. For $165, while single game tickets for home, excluding Penn State, will go later on in July. So that's really the tier of things that we've talked about. If you already got your season tickets, if you're part of the Tough program, you already know where you are. You're taken care of. If you're looking for season tickets, now is your time. If you're looking for even season tickets without the Penn State, now is your time. Beginning of July is when you want to start purchasing those those mini game packages, which are going to include 3 games. I would suspect it's going to be Arkansas and 2 of the, probably Mercer, San Jose State, Western Kentucky, 2 of those 3 smaller games, along with that Arkansas game. That is going to be available eventually in a few weeks. But you've also got those single game tickets that are left. And then there's the secondary market. So that's the route that you follow if you want to get into some of these games, or unless you know somebody. I know there's people that know people. They get into the games with tickets that way sometimes too. Regardless, I'm going to be on campus. I'm going to be there. I don't know what games that I will be attending in person. One of the things that I love to do is just share the experience of the day. So I usually kind of wait, but I will probably try to find one of these games to make sure I go ahead and secure and make sure I don't miss out on one game or at least going into one game this season. And I think, honestly, for most people out there, that's what they want. Just one time in Jordan-Hare Stadium, especially after we went a season where nobody hardly could be in there outside of students, where, tickets were limited. This is a time where we need to be really relishing, because who knows if all that'll happen again and we'll be shut down. My belief is, hope that it's not, but go see Auburn while you can. And even if you think that this team is not going to do as well, is not going to shine the way that you think that they might, they still deserve your respect, but they also deserve your support. Because as I addressed in this, Auburn, when they are underappreciated, when they are underestimated, tends to overachieve. And I think this beginning 5-game homestand, if you are there with season tickets, I think you are going to be treated to an amazing start. Knock on wood, knock on wood. I'm doing it right now. I know I just probably jinxed. That is not an official prediction. Those are coming later on the YouTube channel if you're interested in those. We still got a few months to go before, I should say a couple months before we start getting into official predictions from myself and from others, although I think a lot of other people are, already doing those type of things. Other things to keep in mind in the release, they released, what are the themes going to be for games, parking information, tailgating information to kind of go ahead and whet your appetite and get you planned for the future. And just remember, with all the ticketing stuff, it's now digital. I think there's probably like a handful of the paper ones left. It's like gold when you find those things now. I used to collect them. I got a box full of them over there, and now you can hardly get them. They're all digital. It does make it easier to use yourself. It does make it easier to, transfer if you want to sell them. I kind of miss the paper tickets, though. That's just me lamenting about something that you probably don't even care about. Either way, though, I would love to know from you, what is your plan for going to see an Auburn football game this year in Auburn? Are you a season ticket holder through the Tough program? Are you going to do this that we just talked about with these new plans? Are you going to go to all of them, not get the Penn State game? Are you just going to the Penn State game? You're going to do the mini game pack. What is your plan? Let me know. What is your price point? Is it too expensive? your thoughts about Auburn football tickets, further being released, further information about it. I'd love to know about that from you and continue the conversation down below in the comments section or on Twitter. You can hit me up at Kyle Loomis 24 or at E2C Network to get all of us there as well. Thank you for listening today here on Everton Podcast, where we cover the topics that are prevalent to you, the Auburn family, and we cover the whole of the Auburn experience. Stay subscribed on the podcast and here on YouTube. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.